In this video, I'm going to break down why you're attracting emotionally unavailable partners. In my near decade of research and studies and experience in relationship coaching, I have learned a lot about this. And there's a lot of stuff on the internet that'll tell you why it's happening. And unfortunately, it's not the full picture. There's some truth to it, but I really want to lay it all out in this video so you can get a better understanding of it. And beyond a better understanding, I want you to actually find freedom from it, because you can understand something and still be in the pattern, and that just creates more frustration, right? So I'll say the biggest thing is emotionally unavailable partners are still attractive to a part of you. That's why you're attracting them. You're not attracting them, you're attracted to them. And a part of you, even if you don't like it, is magnetized to that dynamic because of what that does for a part of your ego. To be right about yourself. We get a dopamine hit when we're right. I think the sky is purple. And if I find evidence that the sky is purple, I'm going to get a dopamine hit, even if it's not true. Now, we have this thing in our brain called confirmation bias. So if I think that the only way that I'm lovable is if I can come in and save the day, then I'm going to play out a dynamic so I can come in and save the day so I can get that dopamine hit and be right to my own identity through confirmation bias. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? So this goes really deep in your subconscious as well. You could also say that it's a familiar experience. You're used to emotionally unavailable because maybe that was your parents, or maybe that was an ex that you had, and a dynamic that really meant a lot and impacted your system. So it's either familiar to you, or you're playing out a dynamic to be right about your identity, about yourself on a deep subconscious level. Now, Kev, how do you change that? Because ultimately you recognize you don't want to be in that experience anymore. You don't want to be attracting and attracted to the emotionally unavailable people, right? I'll say this too. You're going to see more of what you're looking for. So if you think that there's so many people out there that are emotionally unavailable, I've seen other quotes that are like, well, it's because a part of you is emotionally unavailable. And yeah, maybe, dude, this is so nuanced. The thing with that is you're going to be looking for it. So you're going to see an emotionally available person literally right in front of you, but it won't register because you're going to be just seeking out emotionally unavailable, again, to prove yourself right, confirmation bias, and get a dopamine hit. If I tell you to look for however many birds you can find, for example, on a car ride, you're going to be looking for the birds. If you weren't looking for the birds, you might notice them here and there. The same is true. Seek and ye shall find. What are you seeking? Are you seeking to prove yourself right, that there are so many emotionally unavailable people, that it is so hard to be a match, that everybody just wants XYZ? Pay attention to those constructs you put on dating and the culture specifically. Because for a lot of you, you're not looking to change the culture, you're looking for one person. So if you get through so many no's and you get through so many emotionally unavailable people, great. It just means you're closer to the right person, right? It's a sorting thing. So don't get discouraged by however many people aren't a match for you, and it has nothing to do with you. That just means you're getting closer to the one who is. So how do you shift this? I think the first go-to a lot of people try is they just try to choose different. They're like, you know what? I'm going to set higher standards for myself, and I'm actually gonna try to choose better for myself. And that works, but then it also doesn't, because that subconscious part of your ego that's looking for that dopamine hit still it doesn't have resolve. There's no freedom. So subconsciously, you're going to default when you get triggered to that level of consciousness, and you're going to seek to play out that dynamic again. You might push that other person away. You might sabotage things, whatever it is, again, to be right and get that dopamine hit. It's wild how all this interplays. The spiritual, the physical, and the subconscious, and the emotional, really. And to get a rub of the familiar, you're going to try something new and you're like, there just wasn't any spark. Well, no, what you're saying is there wasn't something familiar to you. Listen, if you are attracting emotionally unavailable people and that's familiar to you, your biggest green flag is unfamiliar and different. So if the relationship feels different, like something's off, maybe that's a good sign and maybe that's a green flag. Something to consider. Then the second thing, instead of trying to choose different, now you're gonna, start working on yourself. You're gonna push away, I'm not dating anymore. I'm not dating right now. I'm just gonna work on me type of thing. And that can be really helpful, especially for a season. The issue with that is that it can be self-isolating, and that it can we work on ourselves, and now there's no triggers around us of an intimate relationship, and so we believe that we've done work, and then you get into dating again and you recognize the same stuff's still there, because healing happens in relationship, not on alone and with ourselves in a journal, unfortunately. So you can work on yourself, but preparing for partnership is totally different. I'm going to make another video on this because I talked about it a little bit on Instagram. But I'm not saying that it's wrong to, have some season for yourself. That's definitely needed in certain contexts. I'm just saying that you can't self-heal your way into a different relational dynamic. It has to be with other people, whether you're working with a coach or a mentor or a therapist. Actually do the work. Don't just set higher standards for yourself, push everything away, and focus on locking in your business. That's ultimately, you're not dealing with the things. You're just feeling better because now you're not triggered and you're not swimming in the waters of relationship where you were getting triggered. And I did that for years in the past, thinking that I was actually working on myself and I had made progress. I didn't make any progress. I started dating again, and it was the same old, almost immediately. So I just want to save you some time and heartache. That time heals, but you got to do something in that time. And so the other way to do this, and actually to work on it, is to, and this is how I guide my clients, is to actually work on your association to intimacy on a subconscious level in your nervous system. Is to go to those parts of you that are that play out familiar with emotionally unavailable, and seek to make it familiar for emotional availability, for you to be vulnerable, for you to cultivate those types of connections and friendships. It doesn't have to be in an intimate setting, relationally, right? But creating more intimacy with the people around you, creating more vulnerability, doing different, initiating that, and not waiting for it to fall out from the sky or to show up in another person in front of you as a partner, right? So it's taking that ownership and taking that initiative to stretch your comfort zone from a place of intimacy, because what's familiar, you don't want anymore. So you got to create something different. It's also going to those subconscious parts of you in your nervous system and in your psyche that are, again, egoically get a dopamine hit from being in that savior dynamic, and seeking some completion there, having some freedom from that part. With my clients, I use IFS, internal family systems, somatics, and hypnosis. I also do a lot in the spirit realm, spiritually, with deliverance, that where you find freedom from these loops and these parts of you, or these spirits that are causing the same thing to happen over and over again. Because when you change, what you look at changes. And so if you're looking at a bunch of emotionally unavailable partners, you start shifting again, you're going to see different. And having freedom in your psyche, in your subconscious, from those parts, now all of a sudden you're not going to have that part operating where it needs to find that emotionally unavailable partner and a chance of redemption because, dad never paid attention to me, or this guy, I was never enough for that ex of mine. So you're going to keep attracting the same type of personality, the same type of dynamic on a subconscious level, so that you can be like, oh, you know what? Now I'm finally enough because they changed. You change that part of you. You find completion and wholeness for that part. You find forgiveness and mercy and grace in your past. Mature that part of you through IFS subconsciously to the present moment. Now you're able to show up different. I've seen this with hundreds of my clients completely change their life. All of a sudden they're attracting different, they're attracted to different, and this pattern completely breaks. In my early days, I was just doing it through forgiveness. Now then it deepened into somatic work, and now it's deepened into deliverance work and working in the spirit and recognizing the spiritual ties that can happen as well. And so when you address all of those aspects and every layer of this, it's almost impossible not to find freedom. It's kind of wild. So at the end of the day, you got to look at which stage of this are you in? Are you just going to try to choose different and you're going to try to willpower through your somatic experience? Or are you going to push everything away and avoid it and find regulation, which is helpful, but not find freedom? Or are you actually wanting to dive deep, look inwards, and say, you know what, I'm ready to work on me and find freedom from this so that I can be a match? And there's a saying that I say with my clients: do the work on you and let alignment align you. It's not about manifesting the right partner at all, ever. It's about working on yourself, and quantum physically you become a match for something different. And so, if any of that felt resonant to you and you want to dive in and do the work, uh, I've got courses, I've got stuff. I'm going to leave the links down below. If you're on a budget, there's Rebuild Trust. It's $97, and it's this process. Also, at the time of me recording this, my premier group coaching program, Fuck Yes, is starting in 2 weeks. Just under 2 weeks, and that's a deep dive with me for 3 months in a group setting, and it's a hybrid with one-on-one coaching as well, where we do go deep in kind of have spiritual surgery. I work very precisely with a lot of precision and specificity to where you're at with your given past and everything to actually give you more freedom on all of this. So what I just laid out in this video is kind of the process that we go through with the healing of the past, having new experiences, but it's teaching and training on understanding men in a different way, on effective communication and how to articulate yourself better so you're not triggering his defenses. Also deepening your connection to God and your trust in God, because God is love, and your relationship to love sets your relationship in love. So, whew, Fuck Yes is for those who want to dive deep and go all in and don't want to mess around. Rebuild Trust is for those of you who might be on a budget that still want to work in this work and find some freedom. That is pre-recorded videos of a lot of the guided process. So check it out in the links down below. I love you all so much. Also, feel free to hit that subscribe button, because that supports the channel, and I'll be doing a lot more on YouTube here soon. So thank you so much. Also, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I love you. See you in the next video.